Captain Elira's pulse pounded as she gazed upon the ghostly remnants of Earth's ancient war fleet, their silent orbits a haunting echo of lost battles. In the dim glow of the Aurora's control room, raw memories of forgotten glory and devastation surged through her veins. Determination clashed with fear. This was no mere discovery, but a summons from a vanished civilization. It beckoned her into Earth's reclaimed fury, promising revelations that could shatter or save her world. Beneath the vast, star-strewn dome of space, Earth emerged as a spectral tapestry of nature reclaiming a bygone era. Once proud cities now lay buried under a blanket of verdant growth, their skeletal towers entwined with wild ivy and flowering vines. The rusted carcasses of ancient skyscrapers whispered stories of a civilization that had risen to great heights and, just as dramatically, crumbled into oblivion. Far above, colossal warships, remnants of a hyper-advanced armada, circled in silent vigil, their dark forms a constant reminder of conflicts long past. Inside the Aurora, the ship's hum served as a steady counterpoint to the tumultuous thoughts churning in Elira's mind. As the ship's navigator charted a course toward the orbiting relics, she stood before the panoramic viewport, absorbing the surreal sight. The juxtaposition of nature's tender reclamation against the cold, calculated lines of ancient technology stirred a complex brew of awe and dread within her. Every sensor reading, every flicker of starlight across metal surfaces spoke of secrets buried deep in Earth's forgotten history. Elira's eyes, reflecting both the spark of hope and the weight of responsibility, betrayed her inner turmoil. She remembered fragments of old legends, tales passed down through interstellar lore of a lost humanity whose technological marvels had once reshaped the cosmos. Now, those same marvels floated in space like spectral sentinels, silently guarding truths that could redefine the balance of power in the galaxy. In that moment, her determination hardened into a fierce resolve. She would uncover the story of these relics, no matter the cost. As the Aurora drifted closer to its target, every creak of the hull and every distant beep of the ship's instruments magnified the intensity of the mission. The air in the command chamber seemed charged with destiny, as if the very cosmos had conspired to draw her into this enigmatic confrontation with the past. With a steadying breath and eyes fixed on the mystery ahead, Captain Elira prepared to lead her crew into the depths of a world reborn from the ashes of human ambition, a world where echoes of the lost resounded with both warning and wonder. Inside the softly illuminated bridge of the Aurora, Captain Elira gathered her trusted crew around a holographic display that shimmered with celestial maps and encoded relic signatures. The hum of advanced machinery and the rhythmic thrum of the ship's engines lent an almost hypnotic quality to the moment, as if the vessel itself was poised on the edge of a monumental revelation. Elira's eyes, steady and determined, scanned the intricate details of Earth's dormant war fleet, each relic a silent enigma waiting to be unraveled. Her hand hovered over the display, tracing the orbit of a particularly imposing warship that glinted ominously against the backdrop of distant starlight. "These signals," she murmured, voice low yet resolute, "are not mere echoes. They're the keys to a lost legacy." The crew listened intently, absorbing her words as if each syllable carried the weight of centuries. In that moment, the ship transformed from a cold, calculated machine into a vessel of hope and daring exploration. Among the crew was Tarek, a seasoned navigator whose keen intuition had charted countless star systems, and Mira, a brilliant engineer whose eyes sparkled with curiosity every time she tinkered with relic technologies. Their whispered exchanges and quick nods testified to a bond forged in the crucible of shared ambition, a silent promise to protect history and harness its secrets for the betterment of the galaxy. While Elira's team prepared for the expedition, light years away, a starkly different scene unfolded aboard Admiral Corrin's flagship. The metallic corridors of his warship pulsed with an austere efficiency, echoing the cold precision of a mind singularly focused on conquest. Corrin, clad in a suit that mirrored the chilling hues of interstellar space, surveyed his own strategic holograms. His steely gaze locked onto Earth's coordinates with an intensity that betrayed neither emotion nor hesitation. In a voice devoid of warmth, he issued orders to his fleet, his tone as unyielding as the steel of his armored command. Corrin's advisors, shadowed figures whose loyalty was absolute, whispered of the untapped power waiting to be claimed on Earth, a power that could tilt the balance of galactic dominance. Their conversation was a calculated prelude to an imminent collision of wills, each word steeped in ambition and veiled threats. For Corrin, the relics were not relics at all, but dormant instruments of war, a means to extinguish any opposition and ignite a new era of interstellar supremacy. Back aboard the Aurora, as the crew busied themselves with meticulous preparations, the air was thick with anticipation and a subtle undercurrent of trepidation. The ship's corridors echoed with the sound of footsteps and murmured strategy sessions. Elira's second-in-command, a pragmatic yet empathetic officer named Lyris, briefed the team on the potential hazards hidden within Earth's enigmatic relics. Every system, every sensor reading, Lyris explained, could reveal not just ancient technology, but the scars of wars that once shattered worlds. The gravity of their mission resonated with everyone present. They were not merely exploring remnants of a forgotten era, but stepping into a historical nexus where the past and the future converged. Outside the ship's observation deck, the view was both mesmerizing and intimidating. The vast expanse of space offered a silent, starlit canvas upon which Earth's transformed visage was painted in vivid hues of blue and green. The planet, though marked by nature's reclamation, bore scars of ancient conflict, scattered metallic remnants, defunct defense satellites, and the haunting silhouettes of once mighty warships that orbited like sentinels in a timeless vigil. The contrast between the delicate beauty of flourishing nature and the raw, industrial scars of bygone battles evoked a poignant mix of hope and sorrow. As the Aurora advanced closer to Earth, every member of the crew felt the weight of destiny pressing upon them. In the soft glow of control panels and the gentle vibrations of the ship, Elira sensed that the universe was aligning itself for an encounter that could redefine their understanding of history. With every passing moment, the call to discovery grew louder, a siren song from the depths of time, urging them to peel back the layers of mystery and confront both the marvels and the perils of an ancient power. In the midst of these preparations, Elira stood alone on the observation deck, her mind a maelstrom of memories and visions of what might lie ahead. She recalled legends of a civilization whose brilliance was matched only by its capacity for destruction, and her heart pounded with the resolve to uncover those secrets. As the Aurora sailed silently towards Earth, the convergence of hope, duty, and a foreboding sense of destiny foretold an imminent clash not just of forces, but of ideologies that would challenge the very essence of what it meant to be a guardian of history. Thus, the call to discovery had been sounded, a summons that would test the limits of courage and redefine the boundaries between preservation and conquest, setting the stage for the inevitable collision with the ambition of those who would bend the relics of the past to their will. The ancient underground hangars stretched out before them like a labyrinth of forgotten history, shrouded in near-total darkness except for the intermittent glow of malfunctioning luminescent panels. Captain Elira led her team with cautious determination, her boots echoing softly on concrete floors that had long been abandoned by time. The air was thick with the musty scent of decay, and a chill, metallic tang hinted at secrets long sealed away. As they advanced, dust motes danced in the beams of their portable lights, revealing intricate murals etched into the walls, depictions of battles and celestial conquests that no living soul had witnessed for eons. Mira, the ship's ingenious engineer, paused before a massive iron gate, its surface marred by intricate engravings that shimmered faintly under her flashlight. "This technology," she whispered, her voice reverent, "is unlike anything we've seen. The craftsmanship, the precision, it speaks of a civilization that mastered both art and war." Her words hung in the air as the team gathered around a dormant console embedded in the wall. With deft hands, she initiated the console's sequence, and the dark hall was suddenly bathed in a cascade of holographic data, a flurry of images, schematics, and cryptic logs from a time when Earth pulsed with the energy of ceaseless conflict. Elira's eyes narrowed as she absorbed the holograms, each flickering image a window into an era of triumph and tragedy. The logs revealed strategic maps, recorded commands, and even the voices of long-departed officers, their digital echoes laden with the intensity of battle. "Listen to this," Elira said, gesturing to a particularly vivid display where a general's voice recounted the calamitous moment when their armada turned against itself. The recordings, though degraded, carried a raw emotional charge, a mix of hope, despair, and the inexorable weight of fate. The holographic dialogue, interspersed with images of shimmering warships and fiery cosmic skirmishes, pulled the crew into a narrative of valor and devastation. Lyris, the steadfast second-in-command, joined the group near a central archive terminal. "Captain, these relics aren't merely remnants. They're a warning," she murmured, her tone a blend of awe and caution. "Every detail tells us about the power they once wielded and the peril that came with it." As the terminal's interface responded to her touch, more data unfurled. A star map marked with the trajectories of battles fought in the void, encrypted coordinates, and schematics for weapons that had the potential to alter the fabric of space-time. The sheer scale of the technology overwhelmed the senses, each piece of information a thread in a tapestry of long-lost warfare that stretched far beyond Earth's surface. The crew's footsteps became softer as they entered a vast chamber that once housed a fully operational warship. Here, the silence was nearly tangible, punctuated only by the occasional drip of water and the hum of distant, residual power. The walls were lined with colossal control panels, their surfaces etched with symbols that resonated with an otherworldly energy. Elira stood before a panoramic viewport embedded in the vessel's hull, staring out at the void where countless stars burned in indifferent splendor. In that moment, the ancient warship felt less like a relic and more like a silent sentinel guarding secrets that might reshape their destiny. A sudden spark of activity caught the crew's attention, a delicate burst of static that morphed into a coherent image on one of the display panels. It was a holographic log, its data fragmentary but unmistakable. A commander's final words echoed through the chamber. "In our ambition, we forge weapons that could tear the heavens. Let this be a lesson for those who would dare awaken the fury of the past." The gravity of the message resonated deeply with Elira. She exchanged a solemn glance with her team, each member absorbing the profound implications of that warning. The hologram's ghostly light cast long shadows across their faces, revealing the mixture of trepidation and resolve that united them in purpose. As the exploration continued, the corridors seemed to whisper the echoes of ancient battles. Every relic, whether it was a rusted control lever, a shattered viewport, or a dormant engine pulsing faintly with residual energy, contributed to a mosaic of lost triumphs and cautionary tales. The sensory overload was immense, the rough texture of corroded metal, the faint hum of still active circuits, and the overwhelming presence of history that pressed in from every side. Elira could almost feel the heartbeat of the bygone civilization in every step, a rhythmic pulse that beckoned her to understand its legacy before it was lost forever. In this crucible of time, as the crew pieced together fragments of records and relics, a deeper truth began to emerge. The advanced war fleet was not simply a collection of military machines, it was a monument to the ambitions, dreams, and catastrophic hubris of a once thriving species. Each discovered secret deepened the mystery, intensifying the internal conflict within Elira. The relics promised both untold power and immeasurable danger, a duality that mirrored the choices she faced in her own journey. With each new revelation, the shadows of the past grew more intricate, weaving a narrative that was as mesmerizing as it was foreboding. In the quiet depths of that long-forgotten hangar, amidst the interplay of light and shadow, Captain Elira and her crew embraced the weight of their mission. The secrets of Earth's ancient war fleet were unfolding before them, a silent testament to a civilization that had soared to dizzying heights only to be undone by its own ambition. And as the holographic echoes faded into the pervasive darkness, one truth became clear: the legacy of the past was not dead, but a living, pulsing enigma that could either enlighten their future or unleash untold chaos upon the galaxy. A low, dissonant hum vibrated through the ancient corridors of the underground hangar as Captain Elira's senses sharpened to an unsettling disturbance. The once dormant facility, a mausoleum of humanity's bygone might, now pulsed with a different kind of energy, a tension that prickled the skin and set nerves on edge. In the dim glow of flickering panels, a series of subtle signs emerged: a severed cable here, a tampered sensor there, all indicating that someone, or something, had infiltrated the sanctum of relics. "Captain, there's interference along the northern corridor," murmured Tarek, his voice tight with unease as he scanned the readouts. The subtle static crackling on the comm echoed ominously. Elira's brow furrowed, and she exchanged a grave glance with Lyris. A chill settled over the crew. They understood that the relics were no longer isolated echoes of the past, but the focal point of a looming, all-consuming conflict. Outside, hidden amidst the dense overgrowth and swirling mist that clung to the planet's surface, a sleek, shadowy craft descended silently. Its arrival was as precise as it was stealthy, a harbinger of imminent threat. The ship's external sensors registered its approach, and an icy dread seeped into the heart of the Aurora. It was unmistakable. Admiral Corrin's forces had arrived. Their mission was clear: to seize the relics and repurpose the ancient war fleet for a new campaign of conquest. Within the labyrinthine halls of the hangar, the first skirmishes erupted like sudden sparks in a dark room. A barely audible shot shattered the silence, followed by the rapid scurry of footsteps echoing off concrete walls. In one shadowed alcove, a crew member discovered fresh scorch marks on a control panel, the unmistakable mark of deliberate sabotage. The relics, long untouched by time, were now under threat from an enemy that knew exactly what they were targeting. Elira's voice cut through the mounting chaos, resolute yet laced with concern. "Lock down all access points. We cannot let them breach the central archive," she commanded, her tone firm enough to quell the rising panic. In response, Lyris coordinated the crew's defensive positions, her voice steady as she relayed tactical orders through the calm, "Everyone, stay alert. This isn't just an attack, it's an assault on our history. We protect these relics, and we protect the lessons they hold." As the initial confrontation unfolded, a series of terse, weighted exchanges punctuated the charged atmosphere. Within the command module of Admiral Corrin's vessel, a stark, sterile environment where efficiency reigned, Corrin's icy voice resounded over the encrypted channel. "Secure the perimeter. Do not engage unless absolutely necessary. Our objective is the relic at the central chamber. Retrieve it intact." His words, stripped of empathy, underscored a calculated desire for power over preservation, a philosophy diametrically opposed to Elira's cautious stewardship. Back in the depths of the hangar, Elira's crew wavered between fierce determination and reluctant doubt. Every sabotaged system, every intercepted transmission, deepened the moral dilemma that weighed upon them. The relics, frozen in time, now faced the threat of being weaponized, a betrayal of their true legacy. "This isn't just about history," whispered Mira, her voice trembling with both fear and resolve. "It's about our future. If we let them take control, everything we stand for will be lost." The battle's initial chaos spilled into the vast, shadowed corridors where the ancient warships had once been the pride of a fallen civilization. Emergency lights flashed, casting long, wavering shadows that danced across time-worn walls. The ambient hum of activated circuits mingled with the staccato of energy blasts, creating a dissonant symphony that underscored the severity of the conflict. Each metallic clang and burst of light bore witness to the clash of ideologies, preservation versus exploitation, memory versus power. In one tense standoff near a massive, rusted console, Elira and a squad of her most trusted officers faced off against a pair of Corrin's operatives. The air was thick with unspoken accusations and ideological fervor. "We're not here to rewrite history in the image of conquest," Elira declared, her voice echoing in the confined space, her eyes burning with defiance. The operatives, clad in dark, angular armor, exchanged glances that revealed nothing of their inner resolve, only the cold determination of those who valued power above all else. As the confrontation escalated, each side found itself locked in a dance of calculated maneuvers. Elira's team, using the environment to their advantage, employed stealth and quick, decisive strikes. They maneuvered through narrow passageways and around relics that shimmered with the ghostly remnants of a forgotten past. Every encounter, every near miss, deepened the sense of impending doom, as if the ancient halls themselves were warning of a conflict that would alter the course of history. In a particularly intense moment, a sudden explosion rocked a segment of the hangar, sending shards of ancient metal spiraling into the darkness. Amidst the chaos, Elira's voice rang out once more, carrying both urgency and a fragile hope. "Hold your positions. Protect the relics at all costs." Her command, reverberating through the corridor, infused the crew with renewed resolve. The clash was not merely a battle for physical control. It was a battle for the soul of history, a struggle to honor a legacy without repeating its catastrophic mistakes. As the skirmishes subsided momentarily, a heavy silence settled over the shattered remains of the hangar. The silence was punctuated by the steady beeping of damaged consoles and the distant, echoing footsteps of retreating enemy forces. In that brief lull, Elira allowed herself a moment of introspection. The relics, with their silent testimony to a once great civilization, now bore witness to a new conflict, one that pitted moral conviction against the cold calculus of ambition. In that crucible of tension and turmoil, the seeds of a larger battle were sown. The relics, once revered as symbols of human ingenuity, had become the battleground for an ideological war spanning the cosmos. With each act of sabotage and every whispered order from both sides, the delicate balance between preservation and power teetered on the edge of collapse. And as the dawn of conflict broke across the ancient halls, the fate of a forgotten legacy, and perhaps the future of countless worlds, hung in the balance, awaiting the decisive actions of those brave enough to stand against the tide of ambition. The corridor leading to the colossal flagship warship pulsed with raw energy as Elira's forces converged with Corrin's operatives. The ancient structure loomed before them, a massive relic of a bygone era, its armored bulk marred by the scars of time yet exuding a formidable presence that demanded respect. Here, in the shadow of forgotten battles, the stage was set for a confrontation that transcended mere physical combat. It was a duel of visions, a collision between the ethos of preservation and the lust for dominion. In the vast, echoing expanse of the warship's central chamber, The air shimmered with a mixture of charged particles and suspended tension. Flickering emergency lights cast erratic shadows across walls adorned with cryptic murals and faded insignias. Every surface, every panel bore witness to a history of valor and tragedy, a narrative that now seemed poised to repeat itself under the weight of ambition and defiance. Elira advanced with measured resolve, flanked by her closest officers. Her eyes, reflecting both determination and the solemn weight of responsibility, scanned the room for signs of impending peril. Each step resonated with the echo of ancient commands and whispered legacies. The very atmosphere seemed to vibrate with the unspoken words of those who had once fought and fallen in the service of a lost civilization. As her crew took up positions along the perimeter, the distant hum of engines and the intermittent crackle of disrupted communications heralded the arrival of enemy reinforcements. High above the chamber, through a massive viewport that framed a canvas of swirling nebulae and starlight, the duel extended beyond the physical confines of the hangar. In the black void of space, fleets clashed in a tumultuous ballet, a frenetic dance of lasers and evasive maneuvers. The space battle, illuminated in bursts of electric brilliance, paralleled the storm of ideologies unfolding below. Each explosive flare, each desperate maneuver, was a testament to the ferocity with which both sides clung to their beliefs. Within the chamber, a sudden burst of static heralded the arrival of Admiral Corrin. Emerging from a narrow access tunnel, his dark silhouette was framed by the ambient glow of the ship's dying lights. His steps were deliberate, each footfall echoing the resolve of a commander who viewed history not as a cautionary tale but as a weapon to be wielded. Clad in armor that bore the austere insignia of conquest, he moved toward the center of the room where Elira awaited him, a meeting of opposites destined to shape the future. Their eyes locked in a moment of charged silence, the tension between them as palpable as the hum of dormant energy coursing through the relics. Corrin's voice broke the stillness, crisp and devoid of sentiment. "You stand as a sentinel of the past, Elira. But history is not meant to be preserved like a museum exhibit. It is to be seized, reshaped, and used to forge a new order." His words, sharp and unyielding, sliced through the charged air. Elira's reply was steady, imbued with the weight of moral conviction. "History is our greatest teacher, not our conqueror. These relics are warnings, not tools for tyranny. The power of the past must guide us, not control us." Her tone, laced with both sorrow and defiance, resonated among the assembled crews. The ideals they clung to, a deep reverence for memory, for the lessons etched in the ruins of ancient glory, stood in stark contrast to Corrin's ambition, which sought to rewrite history with the force of unchecked power. Around them, the chamber became a microcosm of the broader conflict. On one side, Elira's officers maintained a defensive formation, their weapons at the ready, their expressions a mix of determination and apprehension. On the other, Corrin's operatives exuded a cold efficiency, their movements calculated and devoid of the ethical hesitation that marked Elira's stance. In the background, the holographic maps and sensor readouts illuminated strategic points on the ship, points that, if controlled, could tip the balance of power in this critical moment. As the two leaders exchanged words, the sound of distant explosions and the intermittent blare of alarms underscored the chaos of the space battle overhead. Each flicker of light, each resounding shockwave, served as a stark reminder that the outcome of this confrontation was not confined to the relic's silent chamber. It rippled outward, affecting fleets, alliances, and the future of countless worlds. Corrin's gaze hardened as he stepped closer, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial murmur meant for Elira alone. "You cling to ideals that have doomed civilizations before. History is written by those with the strength to enforce their vision. Do you really believe that your reverence for the past can defy the future?" His eyes, cold and unyielding, sought to dismantle the moral foundation upon which Elira had built her resolve. In response, Elira's eyes flashed with a fierce, almost desperate light. "The future is uncertain, and no one has the right to shape it through tyranny and bloodshed. I fight not out of fear, but out of love for what we once were, and what we must become if we learn from our past." The words, uttered with a mix of vulnerability and steadfast determination, echoed around the chamber like a solemn promise. For a long, suspended moment, the two adversaries stood as embodiments of contrasting destinies. The silent relics around them seemed to lean in, as if eager to witness the outcome of this ideological duel. Outside, the relentless storm of cosmic warfare continued unabated, a chaotic counterpoint to the precise, deliberate nature of their confrontation. Then, with the inevitability of fate, the first decisive strike was launched. An explosion reverberated through the chamber, a calculated disruption that shattered the momentary calm. In the ensuing melee, both sides surged forward in a flurry of coordinated actions. Elira's officers formed a protective perimeter around her, while Corrin's forces pressed in with unrelenting aggression. The air was filled with the crackle of energy weapons and the shattering of ancient, brittle panels, a symphony of chaos and clashing ideals. In the midst of the tumult, the clash between Elira and Corrin reached a fever pitch. Their voices, raised over the din of combat, became instruments of persuasion and defiance. Each retort, each strategic command, carried the weight of entire civilizations. They fought not merely with weapons, but with the strength of their convictions, a struggle that transcended the physical realm and delved deep into the heart of what it meant to be human, or alien, or something in between. As the ground battle raged on, the viewport revealed a breathtaking scene of interstellar strife. Brilliant streaks of laser fire, scattered debris, and distant explosions illuminated the void, each burst a reminder of the stakes at hand. It was in that dual theater of war, both on the ancient warship and among the stars, that the ultimate collision of ideals unfolded. Here, amidst the ruins of lost glory and the relentless surge of ambition, the fate of history itself hung in the balance, awaiting the verdict of a single, monumental confrontation. The clash of ideals, as much as it was a battle for relics and power, had become a defining moment, a crucible in which the future was to be forged. And in that pivotal arena, where the echoes of the past mingled with the fervor of the present, Captain Elira and Admiral Corrin prepared to seal their destinies with the final, resounding stroke of conflict. Silence reigned where chaos had once thundered. The once majestic warship now lay in a state of forlorn disrepair, a crumbling monument to battles fought and dreams shattered. In the aftermath of the confrontation, the dim corridors echoed with a quiet grief, punctuated by the soft hum of residual energy and the distant beeps of failing consoles. Captain Elira moved slowly among her weary crew, each step heavy with the weight of the day's events and the haunting memories of a power that had nearly unraveled them all. In a secluded alcove near a shattered viewport, Elira paused to survey the carnage. Her eyes, reflecting the cold blue light of scattered emergency panels, were filled with a mix of sorrow and reluctant acceptance. The relics around her, the rusted control panels, cracked holographic displays, and faded murals, spoke in whispers of lost glories and irrevocable mistakes. Each artifact was a testament to a civilization that had soared to unimaginable heights, only to crumble under the burden of its own ambition. Now, those same relics bore silent witness to a new conflict, one that had left deep scars on the hearts of all who had dared to unlock their secrets. Mira knelt beside a fractured console, delicately brushing away decades of accumulated dust as she attempted to restore fragments of archived data. "These echoes of the past," she murmured, her voice trembling slightly. "They aren't just technical records, they're confessions, warnings carved into metal and memory." Her words resonated with a truth that went beyond circuitry. They were an elegy for the lost and a grim reminder of the cost of power unrestrained. The holograms flickered weakly, as if reluctant to reveal too much of their sorrowful history, but in their stuttering glow lay stories of valor and devastation that no one could ever forget. Across the hall, Lyris and Tarek gathered around a large viewport that framed the distant, scarred surface of Earth, a planet transformed by time and conflict. The sight was both mesmerizing and mournful. Endless stretches of overgrown ruins intermingled with the remnants of once sophisticated technology, all bathed in the pale luminescence of a distant star. "We are guardians of a history that we can never reclaim," Lyris said softly, her tone heavy with the burden of unspoken truths. "Every scar, every echo is a reminder that preserving the past comes at a profound cost." Elira's mind swirled with memories of the confrontation, the charged exchange with Admiral Corrin, the clashing of ideals, and the overwhelming realization that the relics were far more than inert relics. They were keys to understanding the duality of power, the ability to build civilizations or destroy them. Standing before an ancient mural depicting a long-forgotten victory that had turned bitter with time, she felt both a personal and collective ache. The mural's faded colors and blurred lines evoked a bittersweet nostalgia, a longing for a past that was as much a warning as it was a legacy. In the command chamber of the Aurora, where the echoes of the battle still resonated through the ship's framework, Elira convened an impromptu meeting with her senior officers. The subdued lighting and somber atmosphere framed their weary faces as they reviewed the day's events. "We have seen how the allure of absolute power can corrupt even the noblest intentions," Elira began, her voice carrying the calm gravitas of a leader burdened by hard-won wisdom. "Today, we stood on the precipice between salvation and annihilation. Our choices, and those we must make in the days ahead, will determine if we honor our past or become slaves to its tragedies. Her words kindled a shared understanding among her crew. There was no triumph here, only the raw, unyielding truth of responsibility. In that room, every glance, every nod was an unspoken pact to safeguard the knowledge of what had transpired, ensuring that future generations would learn from the mistakes of those who had wielded technology as both a gift and a curse. Outside, as the Aurora drifted slowly in orbit above Earth, the battered warship and its silent relics bore witness to the enduring struggle between memory and ambition. The quiet aftermath was a poignant reminder that history was not merely a collection of past events, but a living legacy, one that demanded reverence, caution, and a willingness to accept that every advance came with a price. In the fading light of the damaged facility, Captain Elira felt the heavy burden of leadership press upon her, a solemn duty to honor the lessons of the past even as the future beckoned with uncertain promise. Each member of the crew carried their own private reflections, a blend of hope, regret, and a deep, unyielding determination to ensure that the ancient voices of wisdom would not be drowned out by the clamor of unbridled ambition. And as the darkness of the hangar slowly gave way to the first fragile rays of a new dawn, the legacy of the past stood as a silent guardian, urging them all to remember, to learn, and ultimately, to change the course of destiny before it was too late. As the echoes of conflict faded into a hushed stillness, the first light of dawn crept over the scarred battlefield of relics. The ancient warship, once a formidable bastion of human ambition, now lay in solemn repose, a silent guardian of lessons hard learned. Amidst the crumbling corridors and shattered control panels, the Aurora's crew gathered in a makeshift command center, their faces etched with the resolve and sorrow of a battle that had reshaped their destiny. Captain Elira stood before the panoramic viewport, where the soft blush of the rising star illuminated a world both familiar and transformed. Outside, Earth revealed itself as a canvas of nature's quiet reclamation, lush greenery intertwined with the rusted remnants of advanced technology, each relic a testament to both glory and ruin. The silent war fleet, suspended in orbit, now served as a somber reminder of the fine line between progress and downfall. In that fragile moment of calm, Elira addressed her weary crew. Her voice, gentle yet imbued with unwavering determination, resonated through the chamber. Today, we stand at the threshold of a new beginning, a chance to learn from the past and steer our future with wisdom, not tyranny. Her words, carrying the weight of hard-won experience, were met with quiet nods and lingering glances of both loss and hope. Tarek, the ever-watchful navigator, murmured as he gazed at the slowly healing Earth. Every scar tells a story. These relics speak of our failures and our potential. We must let them guide us, not bind us to old mistakes. Mira, her hands still trembling from the strain of salvaging forgotten data, added, in every shattered console and corroded panel, there is a whisper of a truth we must protect, a truth that can illuminate a better path forward. Lyris, ever the steadfast second in command, affirmed, we are the keepers of a legacy that demands careful stewardship. Our choices now will echo through the generations. Across the battered expanse, hints of retreat flickered from Admiral Corrin's forces. Their ambition, though not vanquished, had been stalled by the united resolve of Elira's team. The corridors of the once impregnable warship now bore the quiet testimony of that pivotal clash, a clash that had pitted destructive ambition against the enduring strength of memory and hope. As the Aurora prepared to lift from the orbiting graveyard of human history, the crew looked back one final time. The relics, silent and majestic in their decay, seemed to whisper promises of redemption and warnings of hubris. The planet below, scarred yet teeming with a renewed vitality, beckoned them to forge a future where lessons of the past illuminated the path ahead. Standing alone at the viewport, Captain Elira felt the tender caress of dawn's first light. In that luminous moment, the tumult of battle gave way to a stirring of possibility. The weight of responsibility pressed gently upon her, a burden transformed into a guiding beacon. With each passing ray, hope kindled within her heart, assuring her that even the deepest scars could heal and that from the embers of conflict, a wiser future could arise. The Aurora sailed onward, not as an instrument of conquest, but as a vessel of preservation and enlightenment. With every pulse of its engines and every beat of its crew's hearts, the promise was clear: the past, with all its pain and brilliance, would guide them toward a destiny where power was tempered by understanding and where the legacy of ancient glory would be honored through a cautious, compassionate rebirth.